Konnichiwa! In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at my entire console collection. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Welcome back and welcome to my console collection. Today what I thought we'd do is go through in a kind of semi-chronological order through all the consoles that I've collected over the years. Now there have been a few that I've sold, some that I really regret, consoles like the Vectrex and my Neo Geo AES, but I've still got some great machines in here and some that are my absolute favourite. So most of the consoles that we're going to be going through today are unique. I have one or two that are variations of an existing console, but I don't think I've got any duplicate consoles. And our first console is definitely not a duplicate, and that is the Magnavox Odyssey. This is the Magnavox Odyssey, the first ever commercially available console. Now I have everything to do with this, all the packaging, I've got all the postal packaging and all the paraphernalia that goes with this console. Needless to say, if the assumptions around the PS5's price point are correct, then you could buy two PS5s and a couple of games for the amount I had to pay for this console. But it's such a unique piece that I had to have the first ever games console in my gaming collection. Moving swiftly on from Gen 1 to Gen 2, and we've got the Atari 2600. This here is the last of my Gen 2 consoles, and it is my family's original Intellivision. Now I love this console, especially as the first ever Star Wars game came out on this and the Atari 2600. This is the first of my Game & Watch games. Now I'm not sure we can actually classify this as a console, but it is a damn good game to play. This is the first of my Gen 3 consoles, and this is my Nintendo Entertainment System. This is the original one I had when I was a kid. The Master System Mark 1 and Mark 2. Now I saved up to buy the Master System Mark 1 for my birthday, and I was such a Sega fanboy. Even though I had a Nintendo at the time, I just loved my Sega. It's another Game & Watch, and this time it is squished. Quite possibly my most favourite console of all time, and that's the combination of the Sega Mega Drive Mark 1, the Sega Mega CD Mark 1, and the 32X. Now I've said before, it's not a great console, but it's a great console. Now there's some debate whether the 32X and Mega CD are considered consoles. To be honest, considering they have to be attached to a Mega Drive, I tend to lean on the side of the fence that says these are actually attachments or add-ons for the console.
Unpleasant odours.
You have just been invaded by Sega TV!
It's alright, we bring you
Wildlife! Romance!
This is Megan, start of a new Sega game. Megan, what's it like to be a Mega CD star?
Real tough.
Got the TurboGrafx 16, and I have this complete and mint in box. There's the original Game Boy, and this again is complete in box. Another Game & Watch, and this time it's my favourite. It is Zelda, and this is a great version of the game. I absolutely love this version of Zelda on the Game & Watch. We've got the PAL Super Nintendo, and a US Super Nintendo, and a Super Game Boy. And again, although the Super Game Boy has a Game Boy chip in it, it's really just an add-on rather than its own individual console. We got the Sega Game Gear, and if you haven't heard, Sega are releasing the Sega Game Gear Micro, and you can check out my preview of that over here somewhere. We have the awesome Panasonic 3DO. And at the time, this console was just absolutely revolutionary. You could play animated films on this thing, and the graphics on this console were just stunning. This is the console that introduced us to Need for Speed. I got 3 PlayStation 1s. I've got a Gen 3 PlayStation 1 here. a PlayStation 1 test kit, and this is region free so I can play any game from any territory on this console. And then I've got this modded PlayStation 1 that I've picked up, which I intend to fully restore back to its original condition. I have the Sega Saturn, and this is the Sega Saturn that I purchased at launch. There's the N64. Now I actually imported this console from Hong Kong because I just couldn't wait to play Mario 64. I have the Game Boy Color and a crystal version of the Game Boy Color. The Sega Dreamcast. I have two PlayStation 2s. I have the Slimline Special Edition Silver PlayStation 2 here, and I have a PlayStation 2 test kit. Now my original fat PlayStation 2 I actually sold because I have the PlayStation 2 test kit. And again, like the PlayStation 1 test kit, this means that I can play any game from any region on this machine. The only thing I can't do with it is play DVDs. There's the Behemoth, which is the original Xbox. I've got an original PAL boxed launch GameCube. I have a US GameCube here. I have a special edition silver GameCube here. And I have the Resident Evil 4 special edition GameCube. There's the Game Boy Advance. We have the Game Boy Advance SP that actually used royalties from one of the games that I worked on to buy. And then we have the special Nintendo Entertainment System edition of the Game Boy Advance SP. I got the original DS and the DS Lite. I have the original PSP. Now I do a full unboxing of this PSP because it's the PSP that Sony PlayStation gave me when I was working there. I have a unboxed PSP 2000 and the PSP Go. I've got an Xbox 360, the Wii. I got my original PlayStation 360 gig model. Now Sony gave us massive black bags to take this back because we actually got these a couple of weeks before they were sold in the shops. I have a 30 gig model, I have a slim model, and I have a PlayStation 3 test kit to go with my PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. There's the 3DS and a 2DS as well. There's the Neo Geo X, and I know a lot of people had issues with the Neo Geo X, but I love the machine. You know, another 10-20% more effort into this and we would have had a fantastic console. Now the Neo Geo X is actually a portable console, an emulation console of the Neo Geo AES, but it sits inside this cradle here which looks like the original AES, and it allows it to connect to your TV as well. I've got a Wii U, I have a PlayStation Vita, and I purchased 13 games at launch for the PlayStation Vita. In fact, it was my biggest game purchase at the launch of any console. I have the ill-fated Ouya. I have this very special console here. This is the I Made This Xbox One, and I was helping to run one of the Xbox studios at the time when the Xbox came out. We all got one of these glass awards here, and there's a ton of extra stuff that we've got in the I Made This Xbox One box. This is the Destiny Special Edition PlayStation 4. I have the absolutely terrible Game Stick. Gear VR, although I would class this as an attachment rather than a console itself, as you had to put your phone inside it. So a VR attachment, a fake NES Classic with 500 games on it, and an authentic SNES Classic with, I forgot how many games it came on there, a lot of games on there. You've got to have a Nintendo Switch these days, perfect for modern retro gaming. Google Stadia, although again, I don't really think this is a console at all, more like a gaming service that came with a joypad. And then lastly, the first VR standalone console headset. Everything you need to play in VR is in this, the Oculus Quest. This is the first time ever that I've got out all my consoles and put them into one place. And it's been awesome making this video and going through some of my most favourite consoles, some of which haven't seen the light of day for years. Now, if you love your gaming and your retro gaming like I do, then why not consider subscribing by clicking on my little pixel head below, and make sure you ring the bell, which is somewhere down here, so that you never miss a retro gaming show. And whilst you're glued to your screen, why don't you check out one of these two awesome retro gaming videos over here.